Hello? Just 1 second.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So I see you got the invite. Good. I wasn't sure. It kept on saying that it was going to main menu. It'd say invited, then main menu. I was like, is it came through or what's going on?
I had to keep alt tabbing out. I had to start my stream.
Ah, yes, right.
Yep.
Your stream.
Yep.
Great.
Oh,
We can
great.
back in and see what's going on.
Now we can
How have you
continue.
been?
Not bad, not bad. I got back home pretty late last night, so I was like, I'm gonna crash.
Yeah, that's no problem. I started falling asleep in the chair too, so I was like, okay, time to go to sleep.
How's your Victoria session going?
Good. I played a game.
From the first stirrings of life
I'm a big
beneath water,
achievement hunter, so
to
I
the
was trying to get an
great beasts
achievement
of the Stone
called
Age,
I think it was called
to
Manifest
man
Mexico.
taking his first upright steps, you
I
have
had to
come far.
essentially keep all of the Mexican
Now
Empire's
begins your
gains and then
greatest
take like
quest
Washington,
from this
Oregon,
early cradle of
Idaho,
civilization
Montana, and a bunch
on
of other
towards the
states.
stars.
So
Oh,
essentially,
wow.
half the continental
Abraham
United
Lincoln,
States belonged to Mexico.
you rose to the challenge
So
as your country tore
early part of the
itself
game that was really
asunder.
tricky because the Americans' army is way
Seize the
better.
power of a new,
But I
younger
eventually was
world,
able to
one
pick
built
away
on
at them
rail
by
and steam, on progress and liberty,
enlisting
and break
a
apart
defensive
the
pact with
chains of
Great
bondage.
Britain,
Great
and then eventually
emancipator,
one with Canada too.
in this
So
new
the United
time of
States kept on
strife and
getting,
division, the
whenever they
time has
attacked me, they
come
would
to unite
have to
your
attack
people once again.
both Britain and
Lead
Canada at
your
the same time,
people
and it
to
divide their forces and cause multiple fronts.
Oh, wow.
And I eventually won also because I had a big brain moment, because there's an option in the game, instead of taking the territory yourself, you can force them to release some of their land and give it independence. And one of the things was the Confederate States of America. So I was like, okay, I force you to release the Confederate States of America, which almost cut their power in half. And when they inevitably tried to go to war with me again, because they just kept doing that all game, I was far stronger than what without the Confederate States attacking. And also I allied with the Confederates, so they had to fight the Confederates and me and Britain and Canada all at once, and they got thoroughly whooped. So I achieved my trophy, and I was very happy. So now I'm trying to do another one called Grand Colum. I think it's called Grandest Columbia or something like that. So essentially, you know what Grand Columbia is?
Grand Columbia?
Yeah,
Nope.
I don't think it ever actually existed. Someone who knows history could probably clarify for that. But I believe it was Simon Boulevard tried to create it, and it's essentially like Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador, I think it was, as one country.
Oh, like Great Britain and. In a
Yeah, like a
sense,
united. Like
united.
they share similar cultures, and they want to unite under one country. It never happened, or it didn't. It like fell apart very quickly. One of the two. And the grander Colombia is essentially unite everything in South America except for Brazil under one country. Is the goal of the trophy. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's might be challenging. More fun than anything, I think.
So that's actually in the game that you achieve that.
Yeah, I'm gonna in the game. I'm gonna attempt to achieve that. Get the good old trophy. They have a bunch of trophies that are. Some of them are just kind of jokes and stuff. So like one of them is a trophy. I think it's called Amish Paradise. It's making reference to the Weird Al Yankovic song. Have to get like a really high standard of living without any technology in the United States. I'm not even sure how the hell you do it, but I'm sure YouTube has figured it out. Slowly but surely we will discover. Oh, I also heard some more about Civ 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I heard briefly, which I was like, ooh, definitely excited about that, is they're apparently going to be going away from the more cartoony look that they have here and back to a similar look of Civ 5 and 4, but with like more of the districts and things like what's currently happening now.
Oh nice. It'd
So
be
I
nice
go,
to get it like photorealistic. That'd be pretty cool.
from what I can tell, because it was only a brief little thing, I go, never know when the internet's pulling a fast one. I think it's more kind of in between of kind of in between of this one and 4. So there is still some cartoon-ish to it, but it looks much better because they also said it's launching on all consoles, so Switch, PS5, Xbox, computer, a few other things. So they're trying to push for the cross.
Cross-platform.
Yeah. So it's like interesting. Very interesting. Also find it funny how you mentioned before how there's not much room in America for your for like putting down your countries and or your cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is also, like I said, this is the largest map you can get in Civ or in Civ 6.
Yeah.
So it shows how much like how small Europe and stuff is in comparison. It's really funny. And it's also just like a kind of a constant problem with the maps in general, where it feels like it's not quite big enough.
Right. Yeah, because even if you kind of look at where are the mountains and where are these lakes, is it
Mhm.
really that far north? Oh, because that's Hudson Bay. Lincoln
Mhm.
Sea is actually Hudson Bay.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not proportional, but
Oh,
it's
not
all
even
good.
close.
Yeah, not even close, but it's all good. Like,
It still makes a fun map.
oh yeah, you definitely wouldn't get like 48 states or anything like that. Then
That'd be kind of amazing, especially because Civ goes off of a city system.
yeah,
If it was like each one was a state, that could be quite interesting to see how that would look. But I go like it would take for it would, yeah. If it was each city, holy crap! Thinking of all the cities in the United States, that would take forever.
oh yeah.
So, how do you feel? Like, do you think you're getting the hang of this one, or making sense to you, or?
Yeah, it's making sense. Just still need to kind of get that, get the hang of the eras, and because right now I'm in the dark age,
Mm-hmm.
and just got to keep an eye on that. It seems like everybody else is progressing fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I think we're the
the city
you got more
states,
science than me.
more science.
Yeah, you're producing more science than me at this point.
That might be attributed by my character or my nation.
Maybe. Hard to say yet. Exactly. It's also kind of funny. I just looked at it right now. Like your capital city, you got the like Capitol building of the United States right now. Mine is still a hut.
Oh.
Not sure why, but oh well. Whatever.
Um, so I'm choosing my government right now.
Okay. That's the three right now. You can pick like the republic, the yada yada yada. Those things.
Yep, the autocracy and the oligarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
What was in my projection for that? Okay. That one. A lot of things I can say it's just play around with it and find out what you like. As much as the game could take a very long time, it's like finding what you like is the most important thing. In previous civs, what was your usual favorite way of playing the game? Like, what modes would you set or whatever?
I did play a lot of the different ones. Like I played around with it to see if you can win this way or win that way, or what happens if it basically trying to manipulate it so that made it a little bit more exciting. Whereas now I can see in Sim 6 they added those on, like the meteorites or the asteroids or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the uh, the disasters, natural, no, not the
Yeah, natural disasters.
natural
Yeah.
disasters. Yeah, so basically that adds a real cool factor to it. But I was basically trying to do things like that, like um, stack stack some. Okay, what if Britain and Germany and what if Germany did take over the majority of Europe and such? So I stacked them all against me and things like that. That's what I was playing with. As opposed to specifics in choosing government and stuff, is more towards that theme. So if I knew that, okay, I'm going to be going against this world power, then I kind
Mm-hmm.
of have to choose the types of government of what if that did happen. There wouldn't be much liberty. It'd be more of a a military state and
Mm-hmm.
and follow that kind of premise. But
Okay, so you kind of were. That's probably why they came up with the scenarios and stuff, because people like yourself who've played the game from back in the day probably were doing like, yeah, they were creating their own scenarios as it is. So, because I think there is actually a scenario mode in the game, like outside of the ones that were below our choice when we were setting up the main game. There's another thing to go to, and I think it literally is like a single player play, like a World War II kind of era kind of thing.
oh
I
yeah,
never, I never personally tried it, but I know there's like one that's called like the Outback. That's an Australian-based one. Then there's several different European-based ones, and a Viking one, and like a Greek one as well, where it's like historically that's what happened, but it's like I don't know how historical it actually is, just based off the way these games play.
sorry, I had to choose some stuff there.
No problem. If you need me to shush while you're thinking, just say so.
No, no, just as long as you're not thinking that I'm not listening. I
No
am
problem.
listening and just at the same time trying to decide.
No problem. No problem.
More so trying to save because they're warning me that, oh, your city's gonna revolt. Oh crap.
Oh my. Which city is it?
New York.
New York wants to revolt, really?
Well, it's just warning me that if this keeps up, they will revolt.
Okay,
So I need more amenities.
true. Oh, and you're building a government there. That's good. A government plaza keeps you loyalty.
Yeah.
It's funny because like you can only build one government plaza in your empire, and it's like shouldn't it go to the capital? But that's like the one city that can't revolt.
Yeah. And that's probably
Everything,
because of my Dark Ages too, right? So that's probably attributing
yeah,
to.
the Dark Ages do contribute to that. Another thing you can do to stifle that is I think you have a governor, right?
I believe I have two, if I remember.
If
Let
you
me
have a
go to
governor,
my governors.
always stick it into the city that's doing that. It slows it down.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. There's a thing also to check this. If you click on the actual like insignia of the city, the one with the like mine is the maple leaf, yours is the shield,
Yep.
right by the city's name. If you click on that, it gives you a view, and you'll see a little green bar. You can click on the green bar, and it'll show you what gives you buffs and what gives you and what's like a minus.
How come it's not showing it?
So let's see. There's I think another way to do it too. Let's see. Okay, so if you click on a city at the bottom right hand of the game, it'll say like you click on like I clicked on Ottawa and I can see a bunch of information about what's going on. One of the things in that right corner is it says toggle city details.
Yep.
So you click on that, and it shows loyalty as one of the things. So it's citizens, districts, pantheon, and then loyalty and governors. If you click on that, it should then over the actual city itself show like a drop down box. It's like got four things, and it's like a little head, hand, the happiness level, and other effects here. It should say like loyalty, a green bar, 100 out of 100, or whatever the number is, and it has a green arrow pointing up or a red arrow pointing down.
Yeah. So
You see
loyalty is
that?
at 100 out of 100, and it's green arrow pointing up. So
Yep. Okay, I see. Yeah, so yeah, your loyalty is fine. It giving
I
you
don't
that
know.
warning.
Yeah, who's giving me that wording?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I just realized because we're on a team, I can actually, or no, not just because I'm on a team, I can actually do this with your cities too, so I can see exactly. Because yeah, you got 20 from your population, +8 from the governor, -3 from amenities. So you don't have enough amenities to make them happy, but you have +3 from other effects. So I think that's probably your government choices. But this also is a good actual view for if you were like going against an enemy, you could see what their loyalty is. Because if the loyalty does drop below the 100 or 100, the city rebels against the nation and leaves it.
Oh,
So you can, I think in other civs you've been able to do it with like culture or whatever. The city will just join your empire if it's close enough and you have higher
yeah.
culture or something.
Right. Yeah.
This game it works similarly, but it's more about this happiness thing.
Did I just watched the movie Civil War?
Mm-hmm.
Not Marvel Civil War. I'm talking about
Yeah,
the
that
new.
the American one, right?
Yeah. Have you watched that?
I have not watched it. I think it's a little too on the nose for my liking of today's world.
I was like, sorry,
No
went
problem.
down that went down the wrong tube. Um, I was like, oh, that's kind of true. What that might actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like, not I don't want to spoil it, but they don't
You can spoil it. I don't mind.
they don't really tell you what happened, like what started it.
I believe from what I heard, they made it on purpose a like a super that's never gonna happen thing because I think they said it was like the first two that broke off from the United States was an alliance between Texas and California. To go, yeah, no, that's not happening. But I think that's what I had heard, but that's all I know.
Yeah, I would need to watch it again just to get, sometimes if things are going pretty quick, you're like, what happened there again? So you have to like,
Hmm.
yeah, rewatch it. But the main forces are Western forces. So if you think about that Western forces, it could be California, Texas,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Because if they're those are the Western forces, and
Hmm.
they kind of showed some stuff, like they didn't get into like super detail. It was just kind of following the story of what those reporters were doing, Kirsten
Hmm.
Dunst and stuff. Um, because there was a part where they're trying to figure out what kind of Americans they are.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
scene they used in the trailer of "We're American." What type of American?
exactly. And then so
It's like,
they were
ooh.
trying to discern if they're Central, Eastern, or Western.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, okay. So technically, the Central weren't necessarily affiliated with the Western,
Mhm.
but yeah, it is pretty
Interesting.
close to the nose, and you can kind of tell who the president is somewhat imitating. They're not really imitating, but you can kind of see who that president would be if that were to happen.
Is it more based off of Trumpian, or would you say someone else?
um, Pretty much what you said.
Wow, dear. Uh,
But they
yeah.
didn't like they did. There's no,
They don't explicitly say it.
and they don't explicitly um uh imitate him, because there's so many easy
Hmm.
ways to imitate him. Like so many comedians have made fun of it.
Yeah,
So
no, he's quite the character.
easily
He's a
easily.
very he's his mannerisms are so over the top in real life that he's a super easy punching bag to
Right.
imitate. To be fair, I have to say, giving just thinking about American comedians, I can't think of the last time I think Joe Biden is one of the more difficult ones to imitate, just
Right.
because kind of at the wheel asleep, maybe is the best way to put it. But he's just got that really. He's just like he's an old dude. It's not as entertaining. Whereas like Barack Obama and especially George W. Bush both had very distinct ways that they held themselves. Like with Obama having like a very very clear way of talking. Kind of I did a terrible impression there, but he had a very clear way of talking that was his unique way of talking that sounded really good. And then George W. Bush was kind of hilarious with his gaffes and the words he actually said. So like his thing where he said some really freaking funny stuff back in the day. I'm trying to remember what they were all, but uh, some of them were just like slap your leg, laughing your ass off, funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially when either the comedians emphasize it, or you happen to watch a video, a compilation of, so this is what he actually said, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah, no.
oh really? Oh, because some of them you may have missed it and you didn't know that he said that, and you're like, and then they added to the stuff that he did say that you did hear, and
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's just like, what? No way.
Yeah,
But it,
no. That the other one too is nowadays it's really hard to decipher truth from fiction on. It's like, did they say that? It's like,
I know with
uh...
with AI and what's it called? Oh darn! They just used um, where they dubbed the face.
oh, oh, I know what you're talking about. Not it. It's still AI in a certain way. Deepfake.
Deepfakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so hard to tell if it's like, was that really that person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
No, 100%. It's also one of those things where I go like, yeah, no, I remember being so excited back when I was young, thinking like, oh yeah, like it'll be awesome when there's robots just like the ones from Star Wars or Data. Now I'm like, oh my god, that scares the living crap out of me.
So
Watching,
this one, it wasn't like explicitly portraying uh, DT,
Mhm.
but it basically would be a result. It's kind of like showing what if, what
Okay.
if he did, and then he already has created so much divide, right? So
Mhm.
imagine, okay, multiply that, and then what if he does become president again, and there's a huge divide, and it literally leads to civil war, and this is what might happen.
I'm very surprised they went down that aisle of doing that because I did not actually hear it sound. I never heard that before. I thought it was just like random made up president who. Because I think the guy who plays the president in this one, isn't it the guy who played Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because
But
first
that's
of
what I
all, when I heard
mean.
you, when I
Uh,
heard you as president, I'm like, that's hilarious.
yeah.
Immediately love that.
Well, see,
um,
again, what if that was on purpose?
mhm.
Because it's like, oh, he's kind of a funny guy, and some of the stuff he says on Parks and Rec is like, what? No.
Yeah, he on Parks and Rec, he is he's like the poster child for is it what type of government is he
Republicans
into?
or
Not a Republican. It's a different thing. I think there's a senator called like Ron Paul or something like that who's into that type of thing. It's a I want to use the word authoritarian, but that's not even close. It's a start with a P. Private citizen. No, a it's a certain type of belief that no government is good government. Like absolute free market, like is the pinnacle of everything. Is essentially their way of seeing it. I can't remember what the hell it's called, and it's driving me mental. I can't because I know I've used the term, I've heard it before, but it's just I'm blanking hard on it right now. Oh God, what the heck is it called? Brain, brain went to mush upon playing Civ apparently. Um, uh,
I I I sort of know what you're talking about, but I just can't think of it right now.
hmm.
But
But yeah, like that's what Swanson is. He's like the
yeah,
um, poster child for whatever that group is called.
but in that sense, like it's again they don't specifically make fun or do anything that could come even close to DT's traits. But I think that's on purpose because obviously they don't want something, some sort of backlash or anything. So that's why they made it.
Yeah.
They made it seem like it was literally some random president,
Okay.
right? But then you add all this stuff together. Okay, it's Ron Swanson, and the way that he's sort of doing propaganda um, transmissions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, and then of course you're putting two and two together. You're like, okay, what started this whole thing? And well, how did the country get divided? And how did they? And then just like that trailer, how is that guy like? What kind of American are you? Like what? What are you talking about?
Libertarian. That was the word I was looking for.
Oh
Libertarian.
right. Well,
Sorry, it finally popped in my head.
yes. well, in a sense, isn't that technically what what our liberals are?
Uh,
I know there's
no.
differences. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different. I don't know why they have a similar sound to them at all because they're actually like really far apart.
Well, yeah, it's for liberty. they want freedom.
Hmm.
But our
That's what
liberals,
they.
yeah, because it used to be. Remember, it used to be PC, progressive conservatives,
Hmm. And
and
yeah, they
and
combined with the other party. The, to be fair, I believe they combined. Did they combine after I was born? I can't even remember. Yeah, because it was originally the Conservative Party. Then it fell apart when they got like slapped down to like 6 seats or something,
right,
maybe two. And then they became the Progressive Conservatives and the Reform
reform,
Party.
yeah, the Reform Party.
And then they, under Stephen Harper, reunited. And whether you like him or not, he was able to reunite the party and actually got them to victory. So he went down in history for that. But either way, fun old government politics while playing a world about world domination.
Well, that's what really was interesting to me, and because we just played this Civ Six, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh yeah, Civil War. What was that all about? And it is like a really good movie. Like there's some good shock and awe, and so it's definitely worth watching at least once. But like I said, if
Okay.
you really want to get into the nuances, you'll probably need to watch it multiple times, and or you might pick it up the first time. Me, because I didn't get any warning. I just went off of what the trailer was, right?
Okay, yeah, that too.
So for me warning you, you might have your eyes open a little bit more and saying, "Oh, okay, what happened here? Oh, what's happening here in the beginning? Oh, where's the story taking off from?" Like, cuz
Keep
it's
an eye out.
yeah, the story does pick up like literally in the middle of the war.
Yeah, it. I knew it didn't just start with. It didn't start with how it happened or anything. It's like the war has been waging. War
Right.
has been raging for some time.
Yeah.
So
And now if you really think of it, like how would things get back to normal? I don't like that's so. Ooh, I guess there's always a point of. So another thing that it really reminded me of was a lot of stuff that's happening in South Africa and such, right? Or even
mhm.
in the Middle East, in a sense. It's still Middle East is still a far stretch, but more South Africa, where obviously there were warlords taking over, trying to start governments, and it's war torn. Like there's so
Mhm.
many different, like, even though they've had civil wars, and then they're trying to come back together as one nation, and then it's so easily flippable to another some sort of civil war.
Yeah,
So
no, it's it's an interesting thing because it's like, yeah, our history of war and everything like that throughout human history, it's very rare for a nation that goes through a sticky fight like that for it to cover quickly. It takes a very long time. Oh dear, I just ran into some barbarians. I think I'm about to get my rump beaten. Okay. Oh dear. Uh,
where did you run into them?
at the very like northern tip of Alaska.
Oh, I see. It's those ships, right?
Yeah, one of them
Oh,
is a quarterine. So those ships can shoot their bows and arrows, so they can hit from land. So that's not good for me.
so who's attacking who right
He attacked me. I just
now?
got thoroughly uh, whacked. So I'm gonna lose that fighter for sure. What to do? What to do? What to do? Okay, first things first. Let's get some food going here. Oh yeah, right. I forgot I could build that. Derp. That would help with the whole thing. No food for you. Oh, you're still alive. Okay, I think I've explored just about all of North America. So we know it's in the north. King of the North. I'll start to explore south. So as we had discussed before, I'll take the entire northern section because I can actually, like, I get a buff for building on the snow tundras.
Oh,
So
nice. Of
I,
course,
like,
Canadians.
yeah, exactly. Canada and Russia are the only two that get a buff. Everything else, these tiles suck. So like when I build a farm on a snow tile, I get 4 food from that tile instead of like just 2. So I can make like stupidly huge cities in the north. But as far as everything else goes, you are welcome to settle anywhere in South America that you like, South or Central. You know, Central's a little crowded with Mexico and Milta there.
It is. I was just. I don't know if you see my archer there. I was kind of trying to venture into South America to see how it is, but yeah, because I was kind of scouting for another city. So I guess that's good news. I can go northern instead of trying to squeeze through that little tiny. I'll still send my archer down there just to scout, but
Now
now,
you'll want to get the science of shipbuilding.
oh yeah,
If you get that, it unlocks the ability. It says allows all land units to embark. So at that point, your units can go in the water. So you could sail like around these Mexico City and Milta, and settle anywhere in South America. Or if you really want to, I can assist you, and you can take over the city states.
let's keep them for now. I'm trying to build my envoys and such, so see if I
Okay,
can get that going.
sounds good.
I don't know how it automatically got 2 envoys in Mexico, so I opted just to get the third so I can get that bonus. But I know I was trying to get the 3 envoys in Chico, Ch- Chicoya. I don't
Ka
know.
Kaho
Cahokia.
Cahokia.
Cahokia, just so I can get the gold, but I haven't had enough envoys to send them there yet, so.
Fair enough.
Can you take away envoys from one city state, and send them to another?
No. Once you've put one
Once you
in,
chose it,
it's
right? So yeah.
yeah. That's why it's also, yeah, it takes some a little bit of strategy, and why some people would be encouraged to try and protect, because you can just hold them and never put them in anywhere. So like for example, if you go, no, I only want to give them to blue city states, and a yellow and an orange one pop up, you could have envoys for them, and you just go, no, I'm not sticking any in there, and then you'd be more apt to maybe attack them and take them by force, and then you just get their land and stuff. Um, and that's why someone might also be interested in like defending them. If they put like 24 envoys in there, and you're about to take that city state, that's a lot of work they put in there for nothing.
Right. Oh, they want me to send a trade route there. Okay.
Oh, 2 religions have been created: Confucianism and Eastern Orthodox.
Oh, that might not be where we are though. That might be on the Europe states.
Oh, guaranteed it's the European states.
Yep.
Okay, and you got 11 points so far out of 60 for a great person, so that's good. There's, 1, 2. Yeah, there's 2 more people ahead of you. Okay, so you should get the third one, the final one. Good, good, good.
How are you looking at that? At world rankings?
How am I in the world rankings?
No, how are you seeing that information?
Oh, okay. So when you go to great people in the top left,
Top left. Great people.
so it brings up a list of great people. it'll show underneath the person in the description of what they're about. It says recruit progress. It'll show your symbol. I'll say like 4 point whatever out of 60.
Right.
Then if you look underneath, there's a little scroll list. If you scroll down, you can see where you are on that list. So like you have 11 out of 60 points. And then there's several people there's 2 people who already got it. So they got like overwhelming points because they can't get more than one classic era or one religious they can't get more than one great prophet, so religious great person.
Right.
And then there's 2 other people who are ahead of you, and you can see like one is if you hover over the bar, it'll say how much per turn they're getting. So and the unmet player with 45 out of 60 is getting 2 per turn. Another one's getting 2.3, so he'll eventually overtake the other person, and you're getting 1.
So then, is it better to switch? Or I guess I can't switch?
It's not a matter of switching. Like, for example,
'Cause I
if you
chose-
like,
Right.
you have that. I see you built a religious settlement.
Yep.
So you haven't built any upgrades on it. But if I recall, if you build one of the upgrades, it will give you either 1 or 2 points towards a great person. If you build another religious settlement in another city, then you get 4. If the other people don't build any more, then you are making the most points and will eventually overtake them before there are no more religious people to claim. Like, and also I believe there's also a government policy that can give you 2 per turn. I actually have that right now. So, like, eventually, if there was enough religious people to claim, I could even get one eventually.
Oh crap.
What?
So the Sea Cone, the volcano,
Oh, yes.
it's about to erupt again.
Oh, my. Well, don't worry. Your city is far enough. It usually only goes to the tiles around it.
Right, those blackened tiles.
Yep. So, and there is actually one of the governors called Liang, the surveyor.
Yep.
One of their bonuses they eventually get is Guildmaster instruction towards the city active team. This is one of them prevents your cities from being damaged from natural wonders, or not your city, your like things within the city. This is improvements, buildings, districts. Yeah, there it is. So reinforced materials. The city's improvements, buildings, and districts cannot be damaged by environmental effects.
Yep, and that's Liang, and that is the governor that I chose and assigned to Surrey.
Did you rename it, Surrey?
No, I just named it Surrey.
Okay, so I was gonna say
Just
that's
kidding.
not.
Yes, I did.
I was like, that's not an American city.
So, yeah, in 5 turns, it'll be established. I figured, like, okay, since they actually allowed me to take that tile as the city, it pretty much looks like that's where Surrey would be. If that's the Fraser River.
Yes, technically, I think it. Actually, no. I think that is technically still within the United States, because if I recall, is it the Fraser? There's a river that cuts down into Oregon or Washington of some sort. I think that's the river they're going off of there, because the way it's shaped. Because that was the originally Britain wanted to have it where they got the north of the river and the United States got the south of the river.
Right.
They need it for the fur trade. But the Americans did not want that. They wanted more land. And Britain and them eventually Britain kind of capitulated. Excuse me. Just because the Americans were able to populate the area way more than the Brits could, so they knew they had to take what they could, and they got what they did. They can't just stick with the current borders because at the rate things were going, if they kept on holding out, the Americans were just gonna be able to take all of British Columbia because they just didn't have enough clout in the area to stop them.
Yep.
Hey, now those tiles are producing science too. They're fantastic tiles.
Yeah. Well, I have to build on it, but
Hey, that dude's dead now.
oh, good. It stopped. It calmed
It-
down.
It just got a little on the smoky side. Okay, since I've uncovered as much as I can from this area, I'm gonna take my troops back to home. Okie dokie. Schmokey. The bear. Oh yeah, right. Tobacco that I literally went and I don't have the stuff to make anything. Son of a gun.
Oh, that's where that forest fire
Is it still burning?
is. I can't tell unless I send some.
No, it's not on
scouts
fire in the north anymore. That was a huge forest fire for this game too. That was kind of funny.
in. Yeah. Again, maybe it's playing on the real world stuff right now.
Yeah. I like the idea of with you recording it. It's like this could be on the internet at some point, and it'd be like 20 years from now, and it's like, yeah, no, it's still on fire. Unfortunate, but just the way things are. Let's see, going this way, la 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 la. Funny because of us playing in North America with like this, it's like it's a very calm and easy game so far. But also for you, it's more also kind of learning, getting your feet wet.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm actually glad we're on Prince. We're on Prince, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I'd be like defending, and then my cities are probably something's going wrong with all the cities, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. It definitely can get overwhelming pretty quick. Especially, like, for you, you're already quite good at this. Oh, I was also going to ask, would you be interested in playing a bit of Star Wars Empire at War at some point?
Oh, of course. Whenever I
Sweet.
can, pull up those games again.
Sweet, because, yeah, no, I always wanted to try playing it on multiplayer. I was surprised to see that multiplayer still functions with it.
Oh, yeah,
And
it does. Mm-hmm.
I tried to convince friends, be like, "Hey, you should try this game. It's really good." And they're like, "Dude, this game's old as hell." I'm like, "Yes, but it's really good."
Technically,
Uh,
there's nothing really that has replaced it, so it's
yeah.
definitely worth keeping because the mods that you can do on it. So there's some of them, you'd wish that the graphics have been updated or something like that, but other
Mhm.
than that, it's because you guys have everybody has like super crazy nice systems now, but the graphics are like eh. But I just
Mhm.
take that as a no. I still want to play Command and Conquer. Why would why would I turn my nose down to Empire War? So
Yeah, no, I can definitely say I get it when someone who doesn't have the nostalgia for it, like I do, takes a look and goes like, "Oh, what the heck? This game seems a little rough." And I go, "Yeah, it doesn't look great by today's standards. It's like 30, 40 years, like not 30, 40. It's like 20 years old at this point." Um, but I go, it's the gameplay of it is solid, it's fun, and it doesn't look bad enough where you're like, what is that? It's like, oh, okay, those are troops, those are ships, those are whatever. And in my opinion, it was made at this time, I'd say it's kind of a golden age of gaming, where it's not that everything they made was fantastic, but they had the liberty to actually try stuff.
yes,
If they released a stinker, it was like, well,
it didn't
whatever.
it didn't cost them billions like now.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like they can release a stinker, and who cares?
Yeah,
So
because there are all these new game companies, developer companies that were like, okay, let's try and make this our big one. Let's try this. Let's try this idea.
mhm.
So, and I was like, oh, that's the best.
It's definitely different nowadays. So it, I can definitely say I really, really liked Empire Total War or Empire at War. Sorry,
At war. Now,
Empire Total War would probably sound good.
I did actually play Total War, but that was before. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam now, but I got it on CD. So
which
um,
which Total War did you play?
now there's so many Total Wars now. Right? There's
Mm-hmm.
but the one that I got was a more futuristic Total War. I can't remember which one it was again. But I mean, there's there's the um, the samurai, like the which one was it?
Oh, Shogun Total War.
Yeah, Shogun Total War, and but that's not the one that I had. I had which one was it? May have been one of the Rome Total Wars.
Okay, I've never tried Rome's, but once again, didn't hear anything. Or actually, I did hear some things about it having some. One of the newer ones was buggy, but I think Total War, a very common complaint is bugginess.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going, like I said, going back to the days of um, they just wanted to try,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the one uh, I'm blanking on. You know when they when a whole series is made out of something, like a Halo series and the Call of Duty series. Why am I
The
forgetting
engine.
it? Not the engine. It's like on the tip of my tongue. um, basically, they call like a game,
Mm-hmm.
since there's a whole series of them. They're they're
Genre.
nope, not a genre.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
it's
blanking
gonna
on what.
come. It's gonna come to me.
Okay, we'll let go for now. Put a pin in that.
But basically, the nice thing about Total War is they made so many, so they kept trying. That's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
They made the Rome Total Wars 1, 2, 3. I don't even know how many more they did. They did the Shogun. They did the Warhammer, which I wanted to get into. I just never got into it.
Yeah, I heard the
Um,
Warhammer was one of the best ones, actually.
oh yeah, see that's the thing, because especially I did. See, I didn't get to go full in for Warhammer, but I used to always go to Games Workshop and watch them play, and I'm like, oh man, this is something I want to totally get into, but I never did.
Okay.
And it kind of, I don't want to say it died, like it's never has died, but
Mm-hmm.
when a lot of the Games Workshops closed down, and the only one was, I think there's only one now in BC. It's like on Broadway or somewhere. So
Okay.
it's like, well, okay, then you don't get, those. It's not local enough to get everybody to come in. Local people to come in and to hold some games or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. A couple other stores tried to do it. So I don't know if you remember uh, toy toy traders
Mm-hmm.
in
I know.
Langley.
Yep, I know Toy Traders.
Yeah. Now, do you remember when they were a small store? They used to be the
Mm,
small comic book kind of store. Actually, you know where Toy Trader is located right now.
yes.
There's a building north of it. right north of the
Mhm.
parking lot, and
Mhm.
where Trail Appliances is and stuff like that.
Mhm.
They literally had one slot of a store because those were all retail stores before,
Mhm.
and that's where Toy Traders originated. So I used to always bring my kids there, and there's even free comic book. I think is free comic book Wednesdays. Bring my kids in there so they each get a comic book.
That's awesome.
And I remember it was so awesome because that's when they first started, and they had all these movie props. They had all these Star Wars. They had the R2D2 and the C3PO back then,
Mhm.
and then they had a whole bunch of GI Joes that they put on the on the wall.
Mhm.
Nothing to the scale that to the toy traders of today is, but oh man, it's just that's where they started. So where was I getting at this? Oh,
Off topic.
yeah,
Um.
we're talking about toy traders because we were talking. Oh, so the new toy traders where it's located, they
Mhm.
had a back room. I don't know if you know about this. So
Yes.
right by the washrooms, you know where that
Yes.
is. Yes. So they had Warhammer going on there.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so again, I was like, "Oh, I totally want to get into this. I totally want to get in." Now this is getting, it's still pretty far for me living in
Mhm.
Surrey, and I've been always telling them, I'm like, "Okay, for sure. I'm meaning to come by and game. I'm gonna game." And they did everything there. They did Magic there. They did um, Dungeons and Dragons. They did Battlefleet Gothic. They did, like all these hero clicks. They did all the hero clicks like Mech Warrior clicks. There was the Aliens vs Predator clicks. I actually had a huge collection of Mech Warrior clicks. Now they're kind of scattered and lost everywhere. My boys got to some of them, so it's like,
And
okay,
once that happens, sometimes that can be the end of it.
yeah, I have a couple that I kind of stashed here and there, but not enough to like actually start a game. Now, keep in mind, so my boys, they're really into it. I taught them pretty young how to play Mech Warrior
Nice.
clicks. It was awesome. I even have I have again. This goes back to showing my true fandom for both Star Trek and Star Wars.
Hmm.
So I have this huge playmat for Star Wars
Hmm.
because I have Star Wars Attack Wing. Nope. Star Wars. Oh. So there's two different types of those Star Wars. The one of them it's oh, I think it's Star Wars Squadrons. I might be getting
So
that mixed up with the video game, but
yeah, it's a little minifigure Star Wars game for calling you play the ships, right?
yep, yep. So
Yep.
so the thing is, there's two types. There were this. I'm talking about the really small, toned down, small scale, where Tie fighters are still pretty tiny
Yep.
because so I had a whole bunch of that. I actually bought the Star Wars Armada.
Okay.
There you go. The Star Wars Attack Wing, that's larger, so the ships are huge. It is really cool, not
Hmm.
very affordable, because you could literally get like the the Carillion Corvette, and it's huge. I'm talking like a foot large.
I
So
like
then
that.
so then the X wings were about 3 to 4 inches big, and
Hmm.
and imagine the tabletop if you're trying to manage these things, right? So
Yeah.
I went with the Armada, where the Armada I have a Super Star Destroyer and I have Home One, and those came in
Oh,
the starter kit. So the Super Star Destroyer was about, I'd say
just
about
clarifying.
7 to 8 inches.
When you say the Superstar Destroyer, you mean the one,
The
the
model, the
flagship from Empire Strikes Back, the Executive?
the uh, the Emperor ship.
Emperor ship? You mean the Eclipse?
Uh, so the Eclipse wasn't in the movie.
That's true. The Eclipse was in the extended
Yeah.
stuff that
So this
Anakin defeated him.
the Super Star Destroyer. So the one that looked like. So the one that
Vader was on, right? In Empire Strikes Back?
yes. Well, yes.
Yeah, that's the Executor.
No, wait. Here, hold on.
Either that or the Executor. It's something along those lines. But yeah, there was several Superstar Destroyers created in Star Wars lore, but there was only one ever seen in the movies, and that was Vader's flag. Well, it was the flagship of the Empire, and it was Vader's ship. I really liked that ship.
But it should have been the Emperor's ship.
I believe Vader was given it by the Emperor, because the Emperor just sat in the on Coruscant or in the Death Star, and then Vader was the one actually using the Executor all over the place. It wasn't technically his ship, but
wait.
he was.
It is the largest of which was the Executor class Star Dreadnought. So, Darth Vader's flagship, the Executor, the Annihilator.
There you go. I knew those years of Star Wars studies would pay off.
Yeah. Okay, so those were the size of the Super Star Destroyer in Home One. So those are basically like your flags. Like you have to protect them at all costs, right? So there's two sides. Then I got this huge play mat, and you're controlling squadrons now. Squadrons of X-wings, TIE bombers, Y-wings, B-wings, like all this stuff. And you can still get Carillion corvettes and those smaller ships, but at least they're reasonable sized, right? If you think about how big the Home One is.
Yeah.
So I even taught my kids, my boys at least, that. I did teach my eldest daughter a little bit as well, but basically I was just giving them commands. Like I said, okay, you can only move it from here, and yet we use the ruler. Okay, you can only do, 5 count up to 5. You can only go up to 5. And so they played that. They played Mech Warrior Clicks, like I said. Mech Warrior Clicks is really cool because we each would just have one mech, and then it's all my mechs, of course. So I'm saying, okay, this one has these abilities, this one has these abilities, and this range, and this and this. So they all chose their abilities. We put up obstacles so that they can kind of hide behind things, and we played that. Now here's the one thing that we really got into. I got my cousins into it, my brother into it, like everybody, is the Star Trek Armada. So that one, I have a ton of ships, just like Star Trek Online. So I have like all these Federation ships, and then we did kind of go off. So this one, my kids were a little bit older, so my eldest son really wanted, the Romulan scimitar, because that's back when we just watched Star Wars or Star Trek. I see. It's funny because everybody will knock at me. Hey, so you said Star Wars instead of Star Trek, but I'm a fan of both, so that's why I can't. I'll slip up and say Star Wars, Star Trek, but Star Trek.
No problem.
Insurrection. Right.
Oh yes, that's the one with the clone of Picard, right?
Yes, with the scimitar.
Yeah, that was a cool space battle. I liked that one a lot. That's where the Enterprise got just its teeth kicked in.
Right. Well, hey, and if
Still,
it weren't for data and stuff like that.
Yep.
But Sorry, it's just making a decision there.
Okay.
So he wanted that ship, so he actually stuck with that. So when we eventually went to Star Trek Online, he really saved up to try and get the scimitar in the game, and it's unfortunate that they really nerfed it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do this thing, Star Trek Online. They shouldn't have, and there's forums, you know, the forums that go on forever, that all have either agree or disagree to this. They should have kept the ships. What's it called? Size appropriate? No. Scale to scale,
Uh,
especially when they first introduced them. So when they first introduced it, the scimitar, and let's say you got the Enterprise D.
mm-hmm.
You said you did play Star Trek Online, right? Just to get the Enterprise D.
Yep.
So if you remember the movie, the size of the Enterprise D compared to the scimitar.
Well, the scimitar was compared to Enterprise E.
Oh,
So
true. Yeah.
I
E.
think, and I got a little mixed up with that, but I think E is technically
Smaller.
smaller than a Galaxy class.
It is. And luckily they kept that true to scale within the game.
Okay, good.
But still, you can see the size difference. The movie difference is what they like to compare it to. So the Enterprise E compared to the scimitar is supposed to be huge. And at first, when it first came out, it was huge. It was pretty cool, especially because one of the missions is you're actually going against the scimitar, and it actually had its Thaleron radiation wave, where it like literally wipe out any ship that's in its path.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's one of the missions that you'd have to do. That was replayable, so you just grind it to get XP and stuff.
Hmm.
But so the thing is, if you got the ship, you could use that within the other missions, but they nerfed it. So it's like, so no one bothers using it anymore. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the whole point? There's other cool things that they kind of give you. Obviously it has double shielding. So my son is the one who's that's his favorite ship, so he knows all about it. But it can do like double shielding, a battle cloak where it's cloaked and you can fire. You can fire cloaked. There's other things to it. Now the funny thing is, I eventually got it too. So
Mhm.
I have. So when you get it too, you can get a single ship, or you can get the pack. Obviously,
Okay.
if you get the pack, it comes with 3 different types of the ship,
Mhm.
and then depending on so it comes with obviously science, tactical, and engineering. So you get those 3 type. The majority of the ships in Star Trek Online, they're kind of split up in those types of ships, those configurations. So I don't want to get too complex into it, but basically, if you choose a science ship, it's gonna be more catered to science. It'll give you a couple more cool special abilities because it's science, but it's still a little bit weaker, like less of a hull, less of shielding, so on and so forth. And same thing with engineering. Engineering, you'll have like more boosts of power, navigation, that sort of thing. But then you kind of still lose out on some of the, special abilities to, scram sensors or things like that. Tactical, of course, it's like basically all war. So you have boosts to your weapons and boosts to your tactics.
Mm.
So the cool thing about buying the pack is you get all three, and you can kind of choose which one. You can actually, if you have the enough ship slots, you can set up all three, and then you decide, okay, which mission is this? I'm gonna switch my ship.
There you go.
It gets real even more complicated than that because when you switch ships, you have to switch your crew. You have to choose a certain your bridge officers. It's very complex. And the other little tidbit of it is your main character that you choose. You actually have to choose if you want to be tactical, engineering, or science. So
Mhm.
not only do okay, if you stack it, if your main character is a science character and you use a science ship, that's going to be more powerful, obviously. Um,
That makes sense.
but majority of people choose a tactical officer, so that means even though you're using uh, an engineering ship, you're you're losing some bonuses because you're actually you're actually going against the grain. So you're using an engineering ship, but you're a tactical officer.
Hmm.
So you lose some bonuses. Ah, yeah. But that's just getting into Star Trek Online. It's got so much
Scratching the
stuff.
surface.
Yeah, it gets so complicated. I'm just glad
All
that I have it set up so that I could just jump in and play and then jump off.
fair enough.
But in the
Most
beginning,
most MMOs nowadays do have it where it's like they get so complex by the end because they're trying to just keep people playing. In order to do that, you kind of need to be a little bit more complex because if it's too easy, either it takes some real talent to make a game that's easy to start but hard to master without getting more complex as it goes. So, like, I think of like a game like Smash Brothers, for example, or a lot of fighting games where it's like most people can jump on and play the game, but to know the nuances of the game is a different story.
yep,
But then once again, saying like with an MMO, it's not a matter of knowing it or not knowing it. It's a matter of the fact that it's like, okay, you learn the basics of the game at the beginning, but then they just keep on adding more and more stuff by the
yep,
time you're done.
yep,
And that's what's hard because it's like, okay, and that's also where I go. Like a lot of people nowadays, as a former WoW player, I'm sure you'll agree with this too. WoW originally was a very very slow burn to get through the game,
yep,
um, and part of the reason for that, I think is the great reason, is it gives you enough time to actually learn how the hell to play your class
yep.
because adding just one new ability can be difficult to balance amongst all your other stuff. So when people get like the level boost in a lot of the MMOs nowadays, I get it. People don't have the time to put into it and all that jazz, but it makes it not even as enjoyable for them because then they try to play and they're floundering trying to figure out what the hell to do. Like I wouldn't mind so much if they had level boosts for just people who had at least completed one of that character before or something like that, so they obviously have
Exactly.
more understanding. But if you're a brand new person just trying to catch up to your friends, I go, it kind of sets you up to fail because, like, it's
It's
so
very tough.
tricky.
It's very
Yeah.
tricky because you do want your friends to jump in and to be playing right next to you in certain missions that you're doing currently. And the only way to do
Mm-hmm.
that is that they have to somewhat speed grind up to max level. Now, technically, that's the same thing with Star Trek Online. It wasn't just isolated to WoW.
Yeah, no,
So
100%.
I'm sure all games they actually had to do that. Um, so yeah, basically it's in Star Trek Online. You can literally start a new character, and to your point, that is exactly what I did. I took to have about like 6 or 8 characters. Now I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to like start from the beginning and have to grind that whole thing. There is a built-in mechanic to speed grind them. So I literally got them all up to max level right away, and then I can start grinding other stuff to get their ships up to spec or get their weapons, because each weapon, oh yeah, it's complex. Like every single component of the ship, you have to level those up individually.
Yeah, no. For my brief time playing, I did it where my friend was trying to explain it to me. I said, "Hey, how about we do a duel?" And he's like, "Are you serious?" And he is a max level character or ship in Star Trek.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, sure. What's the worst that can happen?" He's like, "Okay." So I have that I can't remember what class it's called, but it's the Enterprise from the like first movies. So like the Enterprise A style of ship.
Oh, so like the TOS, so the original series.
Yeah, not the original series that has like the
Oh,
circular
from
engine.
the
I mean
motion
one that,
picture.
yeah, from the motion picture. That's right.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Pretty much the same ship, but I believe it was an upgraded version of it.
Oh, you should see
Sure,
mine.
so I'd say pretty sure someone online might crucify me for uttering it such a way, but either way, um, so I have that. I go full thrusters, flying to my fire barrage of phasers, fire several torpedoes. It like hits them like a wet fart. Just nothing happens, and he shoots like one phaser at me, and dead. And of course, several other people of the group there were watching. They just start laughing. They're like, "Yeah, that's what would happen." And I was like, "Yeah, no, the sun was in my eyes." It's like, yeah, I just got eviscerated. But I go, yeah, that's the nature of the games. Question for you about Empire Total War.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever played it online before?
I don't believe I have, because we're talking like as on CD.
Mm-hmm.
So what my my memory is playing back is it's around the same time I had Star Wars X-wing.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, I had that, and I had the deluxe version, so it's like a thick, CD case. That yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that one was like my obsession to play online. So, and even back then, playing online was not like how you can play online now.
Yeah, no.
It was either you're
Forget, was
relying
it
on,
dial-up back then?
well, no, it well, so you got to keep in mind, I was very advanced. I always wanted the best stuff back then. So I was
Uh-huh.
one of the first to get cable internet, high speed internet,
Ooh,
when it was offered by Rogers. When Rogers owned the television Rogers Cable, and it wasn't Shaw Cable yet.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So technically, I was, yeah. Uh, oh, I don't know if I want to go into that whole entire thing, but basically, I was one of the first to get dial-up internet, um, and I did it on my own. I had a paper route,
Mhm.
and so I was using that to pay for it. When I signed up for the internet, I filled out their application form,
Mhm.
put up a blank check, and faxed it to them. so and they're like, okay, they're like, okay, everything's hunky dory. So they didn't even know, like, my parents did not know any of this was going on, and it was dial up back then, so I had to dial up using my phone, and of course, call waiting. Anytime someone called, it disconnected my internet, and I was like, "Arr!" And of course, me being the techno guy as I am, I learned how to disable call waiting. So I'm like, oh, sweet, okay. I just do, star. I don't know if it was like star 6 7 or star 6 3 or something like that. Before you dial the ISP's dial-up number,
Mhm.
and it disables the call waiting. So I'm thinking, great, I can have all this playtime and no one's gonna interrupt me. Little do I know, my mom's sitting at the SkyTrain station trying to call in to get picked up. Oh boy, did I get in such. I was like, oh boy.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah.
Uh,
So after that, I was like, oh, okay. Um, I'll get my own phone line. So again, without my parents even knowing. And here's the funny thing, because my parents, they can speak English, but they weren't like the best at it, and they didn't like. I'm I'm sure they. Now that I think back, I'm like, I'm sure they had to deal with, the bank because they got their mortgage. They were.
Mhm.
My mom was working for the government. My dad works for TransLink.
oh, nice.
They had to have spoken enough English. Like it
Mm.
shouldn't be too hard. And it but for some reason, when I called the phone company, I was able to say, "Oh yeah, I'm calling. I wanna hook up an additional phone line." Signed it up under my parents because obviously it's the same billing, right?
Mhm.
BC Tel. The installers came, installed the line in from the outside. This my parents had no clue. They're like, "When did you get your own phone line?"
I don't know as parents if I would be annoyed or very impressed with my kid if they pulled that off.
Because I was like, "Well, you said my internet kept, you know, cutting you guys off or whatever. So this
Hmm.
way, I have my own line." And they knew I was working my paper route, so I was like, "Okay, fine." I was paying for it myself.
Hmm.
And then came cable internet. I was like, "Oh, cable internet, fast speed." I was trying to do these. I skipped the whole generation of Doom, log, trying to multiplay through BBS boards. I did all that.
Hmm.
Do you know what BBS boards are?
Oh, no clue.
So they're bulletin board servers. So before the internet was it the internet.
Hmm.
So basically, these businesses that were local, they would host they had a whole bunch of phone lines
Hmm.
hooked up to a whole bunch of modems hooked up to their server. And so there were obviously membership tiers. So you would usually you would subscribe, but usually you can get free BBS servers. So you just have to you have to show your loyalty, so you have to log in constantly.
Hmm.
B, you obviously have to contribute on to the actual boards. So these are before forums.
Mm.
So bulletin boards, they're all text. People post it. You have to upload your text document.
Mhm.
So really dating myself here, but anyways, so I'd contribute. What I knew about, what I could contribute. So like Doom, how to set up the Doom server, how to host a 4 player, because there's maximum 4 players, all that stuff. And it was it was oop,
Oop.
yeah, assigned to server. Oh no, how I can't promote. Sorry, I'm trying to promote
Oh, as a unit?
governor,
A governor. Oh, okay.
aquaculture, fishing, food, housing. Okay, that one. Okay, sorry. I just
Okay.
need to read for a second.
No problem.
So basically, skip all that. But basically, you have to set up a time with these strangers. I
Hmm.
go on the bulletin boards. Anyone up for a game? Then each modem would have to dial into this bulletin board, and then it specifically reconnects to each other, establish a connection, and you play four-player Doom.
Mm.
And this is the old school Doom,
Yeah, the original Doom.
the original Doom. Like even
Yeah.
well before that, I even played Wolfenstein. I was playing the first Wolfenstein. But anyways, fast forward, I wanted cable internet is the newest technology. I was like, hey, I want to do it. I was so what I did is I signed up for that.
Hmm.
Again, Rogers came in, installed a cable into my room because
Hmm.
not every room had cable back then.
Yeah.
We're still talking about maybe the living room and the basement living room had the cable hookups, but
Hmm.
you wouldn't really have it in your bedrooms or anything like that. And so I had it installed. They're like, "What? Now you have that? What is that device?" And I had a cable modem right beside my computer.
Hmm.
Now here's the thing, and keep in mind the inflation rate. So
Okay.
it was $65 a month.
Wow.
Back then, that's what maybe equivalent to $250 now, maybe if
Yeah.
if you compare it. And
Yeah.
basically, it it was like, okay, how am I gonna do this on my Paper Roots paycheck? Plus, I still technically have my own phone line. Oh, plus, if you want to go back into it further, so I was dating my wife at that time.
Hmm.
Uh, we've been together since we were 15,
Nice.
and she lived in Abbotsford, so it's long distance back then.
Okay.
So, on top of that, on my phone line, I got a calling card because I'm like, oh, what's again? I did my research. I'm like, what? How am I gonna call long distance, and make it affordable because I can't afford paying the general rates.
Hmm.
So got a calling card which brings it down to like 10 cents a minute. And the cool thing about the calling card is it looks like a credit card, and you can use it on payphones. So I could be at any payphone and I just swipe the card and it bills it to my account. So I don't
Hmm.
have to pay the 15 cents or however much uh, the telephone a payphone was back then.
Hmm.
And then of course my friends were like, "Oh, can I phone? I need to phone my parents." I'm like, "Oh man!" So it was adding up a lot because everybody's swiping my card.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but so anyways, I was like, okay, I found that this is when ads were brand new to the internet.
Okay, I was would say. Don't think they were, but okay. But yeah, to the internet, sure. Yeah.
To the internet. So basically, there's a whole bunch of these companies that would pay if you install this app. The easiest way to describe it now is an app, but program uh,
Hmm.
that that attaches. It doesn't necessarily attach to your browser like of them do now. Keep in mind this is like back in Windows 3.1 days.
Yep.
So basically, it ran in the background on your desktop, and when you go to certain websites, it didn't have to be anything in particular, just certain websites.
Hmm.
They pay you like cents, like I can't remember what it is. If it's 65 cents or I can't remember exactly, but for browsing on these sites, and depending on how long you're browsing on these sites. So,
Okay.
cable internet, don't have to worry about, tying up a phone line. It's always connected. The connection is really quick compared to the fixed 56K modems I had back then. Now, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I started off with a 1200 baud, then 2400, then 56. So yeah, it's just like technology today. You have to upgrade through your modems to get the faster speeds. But cable internet was definitely so much faster than that. So I I subscribe to all these companies.
Mhm.
The cool thing is, someone made a program that would automatically move your mouse, and it can go to websites you program into it.
Mm.
So I threw in hundreds of these URLs, and basically, when I was at school or when I was sleeping, I would run these programs.
Make money off on the side
Oh yeah,
doing pretty much nothing.
it paid for my cable internet, it paid for my normal line, and it paid for my cell phone plan. Which again, I had to get a cell phone plan eventually because the long distance was killing me.
Mhm.
And of course, back then I was what, 18, 18, I want to say, maybe 17, but maybe 18. And again with Rogers Cantel, and they were like, "Where are your parents?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm just getting this on my own." You don't have a credit card? No, I don't. Uh, do you have a job? No, I don't. I do this paper route. uh,
They're like,
they're like, no, we can't give you this cell phone unless you put a $300 deposit. Now, I guess if you again look at inflation, maybe that's like $1,000 deposit now.
yeah,
Maybe,
pretty much, I'd say.
pretty much. So, um, I did. I wrote them a check. I had to borrow some money from from my wife or my girlfriend back then. So just it's going to the same cause, so we could talk to each other. So
Mhm.
she gave me some money to put in my bank, and then I wrote a check, $300 deposit, and I got an Aldergrove number because back then an Aldergrove number can call Abbotsford for free, and an
Ah,
Aldergrove number can call Surrey for free.
there you go.
Is kind of the in
Versus Surrey
between.
could not. Yeah, Surrey couldn't call Aldergrove or Abbotsford.
Abbotsford without being charging long distance.
Yep.
And so next thing you know, so it was a big deal that my parents bought my eldest brother the first cell phone in the family. It was like the very first cell phone. We were like, whoa, it's for Christmas. And I remember everybody was like, wow, look at that, a cell phone.
You, on
next,
the other hand,
next thing you know, I come home with one. This is, of course, years later. But yeah, basically, they're like, how did you get that? Like, you don't have a credit card? What the?
and,
Who's
and then
paying
your
for
parents,
this? I'm like,
it's like, oh great, he's doing the drugs.
no, well, see, again, that wasn't, well, I guess it was, but I wouldn't, like, I was even innocent of that. Like, I didn't know about that until, you watch movies. Like,
Mhm.
it's not as common as most kids find today's. Like, they can
Yeah.
look it up and say, oh, so that's what happens there. Or, you know, it's back then
Actual-
it's only if you watch those rated R movies.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't know about New York and California and how free they were with coke and all that stuff, right? So
Mhm.
I wouldn't know like what selling drugs was. So I'd be like, well, what's that? I just know about how I can manipulate the computer to make me money.
Ah, such a kind, naive young man you were.
but once I did get my cell phone, I actually canceled my landline. That was that was literally that was literally costing me about $30 a month, and I wasn't even using it.
Mm.
Like I didn't even need the calling card anymore because the long distance was no longer there. I didn't need to use payphones, right? So basically, it became obsolete.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. I feel like you're the Forrest Gump of people with tech. Anytime there's like a big technological advancement, there you are in the background.
Now again, this is like back then. Now it's just so impossible to keep on top of every single tech.
Mhm.
I've kind of given it up to the younger people and said, yeah, I'll let you guys, discover all the bugs out of things, and I'll just read about it later.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually gonna say three things. One, I think we should call it at 11 because tomorrow is a work day.
Of course.
Um, Secondly, I believe the game is just about to go through a World Congress.
Oh,
So yeah, next session, so next turn that will happen. And three, I'll show you some trading in the game because I got some iron I want to give you because mine is already overstocked.
oh wow. Oh, how do I figure out that?
Figure out which.
How much like how, that you're almost overstocked on iron?
Well,
Trade progress or
next turn I'll be able to take a
oh,
look and see if you have any or not because I have a feeling you just don't have any.
okay, yeah. Well,
I'm
I'm
actually
trying.
looking at these cities. I almost guarantee it.
I finally finished a couple of uh, building or production in my city, so I'm only now building a settler, so I can kind of start another city close to Lake Superior. That's Superior. That's why my scout is sitting there. Unless you want me to go further south, I can go by Shuswap.
I was gonna
That's
say if you want to, I'll take like anything north. I'll take.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, south you can take. So probably I'll take anything for like Shuswap or sorry, not like Shuswap. I probably prefer like Superior area because that's a lot of snow that you can't work on. Whereas I could make a super awesome city there.
Oh, no problem actually. Oh,
Because yeah,
so
if it's
even around
essentially if
Shuswap,
it
it's pretty.
oh, Shuswap is there. Okay, I was
Um,
thinking if you wanted to, you could probably build a city more in like the desert area, or if you have the sailing, you could go past Milta and go for Central America because there's a bunch of fruit and stuff down here.
yeah. See, that's originally what my plan was with that archer, but of course I have to learn embark and stuff like that, so I couldn't get past Mexico City or Mitla because of it's a military unit and can't travel through them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll just continue down that path again. I'll build my next city in the Mojave Desert.
Okay,
That'll be my Las Vegas, maybe.
exactly. And there is three fruit there, and you can build on the coast to get to the ocean, so it can still grow to a good sized city
Right. Yep.
because it's got water. But you know, and I'll like I said, when the next turn kicks in, I'll show you the World Congress and kind of how it works.
Okay.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Welcome to the World Congress. Begin voting. Okay, so World Congress works is this. There, we've been slowly but surely throughout the game building diplomatic favor. You have a ton of diplomatic favor, so that's good. There's only one person that has more than us, but we haven't met them yet. So we don't know the cities right now other than us two. So Normally, if it's against the AI, two people can decide how to sway it pretty easily. So, like, you can see
Nice.
how it has resolutions,
Yep.
or not really
Public
resolutions.
relations.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Oh,
there are resolutions.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are resolutions. Yeah.
So, like, select the outcome for this resolution. Chosen player gains 100% more grievances, and other players generate 100% more grievances toward the player. So, if we had a real pain in the ass that we wanted to fight, we could use that one. This one, chosen player generates 50% fewer grievances. So, like, this one, I would say best for us, just because of the game we're playing and we're not against each other.
Yep.
We can only pick nations that we actually know. So if you click on the thumbs up, it'll bring for like resolution B, it'll bring down the drop down list, so we can pick me or you, and can put all of our votes onto that to ensure it to pass. Essentially,
Right.
I'd say just put like, let's just say we put one for you, just for example. I'd pick you, you pick me. That means we'd have 2 votes for your character. We can, however, hit the thumbs up multiple times, so it says like 10. That's 1 vote. Then it turns into 2 votes, 3. So if you have more diplomatic favor, you can stack one that you really want.
Oh, because there's a cost. I see it now. Yeah.
And there will be eventually more resolutions than just the 2. And they can range for quite a few things. And like, you can ban certain types of production and whatever. So like, let's say later in the game, when pollution becomes a thing, you can potentially do it where you go, no coal power plants can be built anymore. And if the resolution passes, it will block anyone from building coal power plants.
Right.
And it will, usually when that happens, it'll have a list of like coal, uranium, or oil. So if you know someone, one of your competitors only has coal and that's what they use to make their power plants, you can cripple them by passing that resolution. So that's how they can't work in the game.
Oh, crazy.
It's quite a neat concept when it does work. Let's see, 100% city states of this yield type when sending. I'd say do resolution A, or yeah, for the second one. I'd say the science one is my first go-to. Do you want to go with those, or do you want to just vote on your own way and see what happens?
No, I'll go with the same so that we can kind of stack it up.
I've
So
put.
so you did
Go ahead.
sovereignty resolution A.
Sovereignty resolution A. I put 3 votes onto it, so it's currently sitting at 3. With yours, that'd be 4. And also the nice thing is,
Science.
if your resolution passes, so let's say we picked A for the sovereignty one, and I put 3 votes onto it, I lose my 30 points. So I'd have to build them up again.
Right.
If it doesn't pass, you get back your points.
Oh, interesting.
So, or at least a portion of them. I think the 10, no matter what, you don't get back, but could be wrong. So, yeah, and for B, I put you as the chosen player generates 50% fewer grievances. So, if you go to war with someone, you won't get that many grievances, but there's not really anyone to go to war with at this point.
Right.
So,
ideally, we should spend all of our.
I'd say ideally, it's best to spend them, unless you have a very specific strategy in mind. Like, you might want to hold off at one point, because eventually there's also, whenever you do pass one of these, you get a point towards diplomatic victories. So, early game, I think they changed it, so it's like early game, when you pass one, you get a point. Later game, though, you'll get 2 points, and there's even a thing to vote to give people more points, but you can also subtract points from people in a vote. But it literally will say, give this player 2 diplomacy victory points, or minus this player 3 diplomatic victory points.
Right.
So that becomes its own little game of chess, playing that sometimes, especially with people, because like when we're playing, we're on a team, so one of us wins, we both win. But if this was like a team of 8 people, you might want to have a certain thing passed, so you might need to actually, like how we are right now in Discord, negotiate a way to get what you want. So
Right.
that's what makes it fun.
That's
So
pretty cool.
Yep, it's once again one of those things like this should have been the game to begin with, but they of course did not have it.
Right.
So with that being said, do you want me to pass this or hit next, or are you done
Yep.
voting or not?
I'm done. I literally spent everything except 4.
Okay, and resolution. The first one was you that we said that we're going to do the 50% fewer grievances.
Oh, I put you.
Let's just do you, because it would.
Okay.
I think it'd be a different thing if we did it with me.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking like, who would be the first to attack, other cities, like other. You know what I mean? Like if you're the stronger military, and then if we're going to attack some Russia or something like that.
It would not likely be me, just because Canada cannot do a surprise attack. You can.
Oh, I see. I see.
So, and also
Okay.
if there's going to be any fighting, the chances of you fighting like a city state is higher, in my opinion, than me at this point. I'll help you and join in the fight, but I wouldn't probably.
Okay. Yeah. That's my.
And
I guess that's what my nation is. Is
the United
strength
States more
is
like,
in.
yeah, the United States would be more apt to fight. Canada is pretty much as peaceful as it gets in the game.
Right. Right.
So then you hit submit, and it goes through the thing.
So public relations, B, target, submit, and how do we know what happened?
Give it a moment. The AI takes its turn if I recall, and then it. There we go. So passed via tiebreaker.
Oh,
Oh wow! So that one almost did not pass, but we got it. And then the other one passed by a landslide,
nice. Yeah,
by
12 to
12 to
1.
1. And then you can hit the little plus mark and see exactly how it broke down the vote. So it'd be interesting to see, like, if you, that's the other one too, you can tell sometimes with some of the votes, when you know who the other AI is, you can figure out what the heck is kind of their prerogative.
Intention, yeah.
Yeah.
But technically,
So
because we did 2 votes each. Wow.
mhm.
If we see, I think once I switched it to you, I took away a vote. So
Okay.
I should have. That's why I still have 48.
Whatever. That's learning.
Yeah, but it's still we won it. So
Yeah, so now you even have more points to use next time, so worked out very well for you. So with that being said, now I wanted to mention trade.
oh yes, yes.
So, um, so in order to do trade, you simply just have to click on the opposing team, and you'd see their like world leader pop up. So like one of the things I'll do is I'm going to click on one to make a deal. So you do
Right.
have iron. You got 40 iron somehow.
Okay, so where did you go? Trade? No. Uh,
So
what?
in order to see the trade screen or diplomacy screen, like I clicked on Washington, just on the name Washington, it popped up. So you could click on like Ottawa, you could see like a cartoon thing of Wilfrid Laurier pop up.
Oh yes. So
And
it
then
was correct. I did click that. Okay.
and then it should, if you look at the screen right now, it should only have 2 options, which is send a delegation and
Yep.
make a deal.
Yep.
Usually, like a delegation, if we want to form alliance and stuff, that you do have to do stuff like that. But due to the fact we're in this type of mode already, we don't really need to. And if you're playing against the AI, you definitely need to send a delegation or whatever.
Of
Because
course.
if
Yeah.
they think you're rude, they will not. They will treat you antagonistically. If you want to be that way, then just don't send them anything. Just flip them off every time you can.
Yeah.
So like
Make a
you seem
deal.
to have 40 iron, and I have 60. I have 2 jade, you have 1 marble, so you can see all the different things. So you could like say like I want to trade you like 5 gold. You can just gift it to someone, or you can say like I'll trade it for this. There's ways to go back and forth, especially with the AI. With people, you just talk it out.
Yeah. So this is very similar to Civ 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Okay. So then in this case, so if I'm trading my 1 marble, then I don't have a marble for myself.
That's right.
Oh, okay. And we both have iron.
I think we're both maxed out on how much we can have.
Right. So what trade are we gonna do this time around then?
Don't really need to do one.
Okay, because yeah, we don't have enough. If I make my second, or not my second city, but if I establish in Las Vegas, I think there's some stuff around there that I can gain.
I don't think there is any tradable goods, but either way, that's fine. You are very close to a second marble with New York. If you got that, I could trade some jade to you for some marble.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
I might be able to
that'd be a good
buy
trade.
it.
And yeah, if you do that, then it's like yeah. So we have that.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, you are able to buy it. Cool.
Yep. So did you want to trade?
You haven't developed it yet, so it doesn't count.
Oh, right. You know what? What? I always do this, but I lost my builders.
You lost them?
Yeah, because I don't know where they went.
Where did you send them?
They were technically on with Surrey, so I can build a couple of those tiles, and then they disappear. So I don't know if they're just doing automation or.
So go to the left screen where the map is.
Yep.
In the middle, there's a lens on the far left. There's a middle one that's a magnifying glass. It says map search.
Yep.
And you should be able to type in something like builders, and they can. Yeah. And if you do like BUL, right, and then you go builder search. Found 4 results.
Oh, there's one.
1, 2.
What? How is he all the way there? He's in Mexico. Oh no, that's not my builder. That's a Mexican builder.
Yeah, that's a Mexican builder.
Uh,
Yeah, so I got 2. So I don't think you have. So yeah, if something happened to them, they're like captured, gone.
But that's weird.
Or the other one too is a builder has 3 builds. Once you've used those 3, it's gone.
Oh, I see. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, because like if you build a builder in a city with the what's his name, the Yang the surveyor, his first ability is all builders trained in this city get a +1 build charge. So any builder you build with him gets 4 builds instead of just 1.
Oh wow! Oh, so I should build all my builders in Surrey.
Yeah, usually I jokingly will do it where when I take over a city in this game, I put that guy on the city, and then I use that city for slave labor. Or not slave labor, but you know what I mean. Where it's like I use the foreign city to do all my work. So usually, like if you have a city like I've designed right now my 3 cities. Ottawa's being a little slow to develop because it's got just a poor sense of food. It's got a ton of production, but I'm just not having a great amount of food to actually get going. Whereas Montreal, I have an absolute crap ton of food, and I got multiple good production. I haven't built much in Montreal, but it only takes me 4 turns to build a builder. So I'm just going to start pumping out builders and then start developing my cities. And then once Ottawa gets a little bit more on its feet, I'm going to use that to pump out settlers and expand west.
Right. Okay.
So usually that's kind of how I'd say most people play the game, where they go like they get one or two cities that are their main production buildings, and they focus hard on production in those cities. And then everything else will have like science or whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And some cities are strictly like, because the way this game can have choke points with the mountains and other physical nature, there's quite a few times where people will build just like screw you build our cities, where they plop in a spot that makes it hard to get past.
Exactly.
So
Kind of like in Central America here, Mexico City and Mitla, it's like we can't get past here.
Yeah, no, 100%. That Milta and Mexico City right there are annoying cities, and like even then, I go, if you built a city right on that narrow stretch, if you build like you see on the map below Milta, there's the part where there's like 1, 2, 3 tiles in a row that are just one tile each. It's at that gap just before it gets to where South America starts.
Yep.
If you built a city right on that, you can sail your ships through the city. It builds like a mini
Panama Canal.
Yeah, it builds like a mini canal on its own. And if it's your city, you exclusively have access to get in and out of there. So instead of you having to sail all the way around the continent, you now have an ability just to sail straight through. So that can be a huge advantage.
Oh, you gotta get over there.
Yeah, especially like militarily wise. Like, yeah, no, South America's got some great resources. You've got a ton of silver and stuff like that you can exploit. But with that being said, I think we have to call it for the night, because if I keep on going, it'll be 12 o'clock.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm going to save it right now, just so that it's not delayed any further. Okay, game saved.
All right.
Sounds good. Last question before I let you go. Empire Total War. What faction did you prefer playing as?
Oh, Empire at War.
Yeah, Empire at War. Yes, Empire
right.
at War.
Again, I don't have a preference. I've played both because sometimes I love Star Destroyers and then sometimes I want my X-Wing fighters. So, totally up to you. Whatever you want, we can try it and switch off when we play another game.
Sounds
totally
good to me.
Open. I'm open. You can choose whatever first. Again, I'll have to replay it, relearn it because I haven't played it in so long.
I can definitely say I loved playing the Empire the most. I like the Rebellion. I like the variety of ships the Rebellion has. I've always absolutely loved Star Destroyers. So being able to just flying with the Star Destroyers and hear all the iconic sounds like from the TIE fighters and all that.
Yeah.
Just happy. Vader also being one of my favorite characters, that made it me enjoy playing as the Empire.
Oh boy.
And then the ability to blow up planets with the Death Star was an absolute hoot. Did you play the expansion of the Zan Consortium?
I did. My nephew is very so this game I played with my eldest son and my nephew, and my nephew was the one that was very proficient. So he'd always kick our butts. It'd be usually me and my son against him. But yeah, so we did have that Zan
Consortium.
Zan Consortium, yeah. Let me just look Star Wars. I'll have to put it back on my favorites list because I have too many.
Deep list.
Too many in my list. Okay, so going back up there. Star Wars Empire at War Gold Pack is what I have.
Yep, that's it.
Which the DLC Forces of Corruption. Yep.
Forces of Corruption, that's right.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to relearn it, but it's like any real-time strategy. I just have to remember my efficiencies, how to make them efficient so I can pump out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Darth Vader and I remember Boba Fett, and I'm like, damn it. they'd always take out my Han Solo's Millennium Falcon, and like, man, what the heck?
Yep. No,
You're-
I feel like the Rebellion is a little trickier to play as, but it's essentially you do have to play it as guerrilla warfare. If you try to do the big fleet versus big fleet, it doesn't usually
work.
go as well for the Rebellion.
Exactly.
And I think the base game, the normal game before the expansion, was more balanced, and then they released the expansion. And I was like, okay, so the Empire gets Superstar Destroyer, Death Star that can target capital ships, and a bunch of other goodies, including like the Dark Troopers, and Thrawn.
Yep.
And
Thrawn.
like,
Mhm.
I think Rebels, at least they got Yoda and Luke, which I was like, thank goodness for that. But then I think they got like one tank, and that's it. I was like, oh my god. Oh yeah, they did get one really good ship, like a very nimble Mon Calamari cruiser, but
Not
seemed
much.
it seemed to pale and the B-wing paled in comparison to what the Empire got. And then the Zand Consortium was also quite overpowered.
Yeah.
I think I remember I've played the game many times, and I cannot actually remember if I ever beat the Galactic Conquest on hard mode with the Rebels, because I seem to remember it being quite the struggle to play.
It it almost seems like they built it so that you'd have to have at least 2 or 3 players on the rebel side to fight one Imperial.
Yeah, no, like if the Empire was in a really cozy spot to be able to just sit and build up, and once it's built up, just unleash. I can definitely also say, well, playing the game online, or not online, just playing it on my own, the Zan Consortium was always a hard one to deal with, just because they could make absurd amount of money.
Exactly.
But either way, well,
All right.
considering you like to also record, I think that'd be a really fun one to play and
yeah.
get a recording of and see how that goes, especially because that's a one-on-one kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
get-
Again,
Get a refresher on that.
because I never really streamed back in the day when I used to play. This is a perfect opportunity to record some gameplay of actually playing it.
Mm-hmm. And also, as far as I know, you do the recordings also just for your own sake. But I go like, hey, this one would be a good one for a little bit more action.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And if anything, just turn into cinematic mode and it looked great.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I do play like Helldivers streaming, Call of Duty. A lot of my videos were Call of Duty initially because that's what I play on a daily basis with my cousins and stuff. So that was
Okay.
that was like, oh, okay, I'll record it. That was more for them too, so that they didn't necessarily have a machine because some of them were on Xbox and stuff. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, you can always go back and watch it. So
Yeah.
all right, sounds
Okay,
good.
well,
Have a